Welcome to the Millennial Method podcast, where we dive into the personal stories of millennials that have chased their dreams, overcome challenges, and redefined success in this pivotal era. My name is Marky, and my guest for today is Michelle Marcelline. She is the co-founder of TYPEDREAM, which is a no-code tool to help creators, launch anything they want: an ebook, an online course, a song. It's a place where you have a buffet of creator tools. So you can have your link in bio. You can create your website in minutes, kind of like Notion style templates that are easy to use. And it was really cool interviewing Michelle. I got to really know what it's like to be a co-founder or a founder of a tech startup, a millennial founder. In that, she's 25 and she's just crushing it right now. And we also talk about her immigrant story because she recently got her green card. So congrats, Michelle. We also talk about the concept of building in public, which, if you're not familiar with that term, it's basically sharing your entrepreneurial journey, sharing your journey on whatever you're building, whatever you're making, as a type of not just a marketing tactic, but just as a way to storytell. And she does that really well on Twitter. And we also talk about just being a millennial, obviously because it's the Millennial Method podcast. So we talk about how her unique advantage of being an immigrant founder has helped her build TypeShare. And we also just talk about everything, just entrepreneurship. I mean, I'm not in tech. I know a lot of friends that are in tech, and hearing her perspective on the tech world really opened my eyes into what's possible. And I think for anyone that wants to build a company, especially a tech company, and especially if you're coming from an immigrant background, this podcast is for you. So without further ado, here is Michelle Marcelline. Hi, Michelle.
Hey Mark, thanks for having me.
Of course. Thanks for hopping on. I know you're a busy person, but I wanted to see if I can get you here. It's we're in Build Space together, which is really cool. Season 4. For those people, the people that don't know Build Space, it's a school where you get to build your passion projects and build your ideas. And I got to meet Michelle there, so I'm excited to kind of hop in and talk about your ideas. But first of all, I wanted to talk about TypeDream because obviously that's the company that you helped co-found.
Mhm.
My audience is kind of like a mix of creators, entrepreneurs, people that work 9 to 5s. It's kind of all over the place.
Mhm.
So can you just explain to my audience what TypeDream is?
Yeah. So TypeDream is an all-in-one tool for you to build your online business. You can build a digital product, like templates, newsletters, courses, any kind of online business. Our tool helps you to make your first dollar online, and that you don't have to use multiple different tools. Because what we realized from online business builders, they use Tally for their forms, Gumroad for their products, and a bunch, like 4 to 5 different tools. They need to pay different subscriptions, and their stuff are all over the place. So TypeDream just consolidates all those tools into one platform.
I was just using TypeDream a couple days ago for the podcast. Such a
Nice.
So
What's your
awesome.
business TypeDream?
Well, so I'm definitely using the link in bio thing. Like that thing
Oh,
is so cool. Like I like what you did with the video
uh-huh.
product. Just makes things stand out. I
Yeah.
haven't diving into the website builder yet, but
Mhm.
probably will soon. So I will give you some user feedback for sure. But it's been amazing.
Yeah. At TypeDream, we're design focused. So in the early days with our website builder, we're the first to enable people to build to make gradient texts on websites. We were pretty famous for that, and now with the link in
Yeah,
bio, we're doing an Apple widget style. Like it's like customizing your iOS home screen. You can resize the widgets, and you can input video background, so it looks like a TikTok feed, but it's your link in bio.
that's what it feels like. So I definitely want to, because I have a lot of friends that are creators, influencers that I think could benefit from it. So I will
Right?
spread the word. But I wanted to go back to becoming a millennial, right?
Hmm.
Because obviously this is the Millennial Method podcast, and I just wanted to know right off the bat, how does it feel to be a 25 a 25-year-old founder?
So, 25-year-old founder, it feels awesome. I get to work on something I like and make a living out of it. I'm not saying that I'm successful or like I'm rich or whatever. I'm just happy that I'm able to do something I like and it pays the bills. Just like build safe spaces premise, just like what TypeDream wants our users to be able to build with TypeDream. Just an online business that pays the bills.
Yeah. What do you love about our generation?
What I love about our generation, what I love about our generation is that we are not afraid to take the leap and pursue what we love.
You took the leap so early. Did you know what you wanted right away?
I've been wanting to become a startup founder since I was in high school. I was one of those people who got inspired by the Social Network movie, the movie about Mark Zuckerberg and how Facebook was founded. Yeah, my parents just took me to the theater one weekend, watched that movie, and my life changed. I know it's weird because it's just one movie, but from then point at that point on, I started watching Steve Jobs keynotes and exposed myself to the tech and the Silicon Valley life more. When I graduated high school, I forced my parents to send me here to the US, especially San Francisco, so I could be in Silicon Valley. Yeah, studied computer science, met my four other co-founders in CS 101. And we've been building projects together, starting from school projects to out of school projects. And when we graduated, we decided to just build a startup together because, yeah, we've been building projects together throughout college and we've never really been interested in finding an actual 9 to 5 job. So we decided to just jump right into this while we're young, while we have no dependents. We thought it's the perfect time.
Wow. So you knew right away that you were going to take the non-traditional path.
Yeah.
Was there a career at all that you wanted, or you knew that you wanted to build companies?
Yeah, I've never really thought about a career, to be honest.
What was your mindset like in college when you were just when you moved here to the U.S.?
My mindset was to join as many networking events as possible, expose myself to the startup world. So I learned everything from the ground up about raising money, investors, how to build a startup, the things I need to do to level up, like getting into Y Combinator, and yeah, all the startup stuff. So in college, I never really focused on getting a good GPA or excelling my exams or stuff like that. I just studied for the sake of activating my visa, I would say, and use my weekend or my extra time after my classes to expose myself to the startup world as much as possible.
Yeah, and speaking of being an immigrant, you recently got your green card, so congrats. That's
Thank
amazing.
you. Such a relief.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was listening to another podcast that you had recently. I forgot his
Mhm.
name, but you
Is
were
it
talking
Marcelline?
about. I think
Yeah.
so. I think so. And you guys had a conversation about how it felt, and I know you had an amazing. I know it was like there was a lot of emotions involved,
Yes.
and but just I'm so happy that you're here.
Yeah.
Can you share a bit about where you come from and you know I mean you kind of talked about United States, why you decided to move to the United States, but can you share a little bit of your Indonesian background?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Indonesia. Um, what's interesting about Indonesia? I went to a national school there, so I wasn't brought up to learn to speak English. So when I first moved to the US, I
Mm.
actually had to learn the language first before everything else, and that was a challenge. Um, what else? Oh yeah, I had to go through community college before transferring to UCLA because we didn't know anything about SATs and stuff like that in Indonesia. I was a diligent student, I would say. I got straight A's from like elementary up to high school, but the standard wasn't high. We were,
Mhm.
yeah, I was in a local school in Indonesia, so I didn't really have any competition. I didn't know how I could be any better until I watched that movie, until I moved to the US, until I surrounded myself with people who I inspire to be.
How is education different from the US and Indonesia?
And Indonesia, yeah. I would say it's not just the education, but culturally, in Indonesia, people are by the book. So you study all the theories. You never really get to apply what you learned from the book into something practical, like, for example, physics, chemistry, biology. I would imagine it would be better if you could actually do experiments and stuff like that, like people, like students in the US do. In Indonesia, I just studied all the formulas, theories, and did written exams without actually doing all the lab work. Oh yeah, and then culturally, Indonesian people, they're more passive. So if you don't understand something, you wouldn't ask, because if you ask the teacher in front of your classmates, you would be booed. Like, why didn't you
Oh,
get it? Like, why are you so stupid? Why didn't you get it? And then when I
oh
moved to the
wow.
US, I yeah, and then everyone would have an like extra course after school. Like they would have a private tutor because it's affordable there, and that's actually where you learn everything, with the tutor, not at school. But when I came to the US, I didn't have any tutors because, well, it's not a thing here. It's not affordable. So I had to change that mindset. I had to ask the professor whenever I couldn't understand something. And interestingly, it was encouraged here to ask questions.
How's the is there an entrepreneurship community in Indonesia, or is it still
Um,
relatively small?
yeah, recently, I think the entrepreneur community and the tech community are growing in Indonesia and Southeast Asia in general. So there are a couple entrepreneur community that I know.
I don't know that many people from Indonesia, so this is one of my first times meeting an Indonesian, so which is really cool. What is it about Indonesia that you like?
What is it about Indonesia? I mean, my family's there, so I have a special attachment that I need to go back at least once a year to meet my family. The food is amazing. I would say all
I bet.
Asian
I bet.
is superior. And
Yeah.
then, have you been to Bali?
No, that's on my list though. I
That's
always hear about it.
yeah, that's Indonesia's pride and joy. The weather's perfect there, the beach beautiful, food's amazing, and it's incredibly cheap. A lot of digital nomads are there.
Oh yeah, I plan to for the podcast interview a couple digital nomads because that's another one of those millennial lifestyles that a lot of people um, take on. So yeah, how does San Francisco compare to Indonesia? Obviously the price, but anything else?
Well, it's so different. San Francisco, everything is in order here. The Wi-Fi speed is really fast. The roads are big, less traffic than Indonesia. People actually follow the rules. People are afraid of the police. Um,
Mm.
yeah, everything's in order. You can, in terms of technology, you can buy things really quickly. There's Amazon Prime, there's DoorDash, there are a lot of tech enabled services that we don't have in Indonesia.
Mm. And so when you think about your move to the Bay Area, do you
Mhm.
think moving here has helped you with your career?
Oh, definitely. I wouldn't be exposed to the startup world or the tech world if I weren't here. Not even Indonesia. Let's say if I were to move to LA or any other city in the US, I wouldn't be able to be where I'm at right now because I wouldn't be able to talk with like-minded people, exchange our thoughts, and their people around me wouldn't help me to get where I am right now.
You're coming in as an immigrant, right? You have this kind of more worldly view
Yeah.
coming into San Francisco. Do you feel like being an Indonesian gives you some advantages versus someone that was born in the states,
Um,
or is it
yes,
like
I
the
wouldn't
opposite?
say.
Okay, yeah,
No, no, I
say
do
more.
think there are some advantages for by me being Asian, not specifically from Indonesia, but from Asia. I would say it's the hustle culture that I don't see here with people from the US.
Hmm.
So in Asia, people work way more hours than people, and then the average. I'm not saying everybody, but the average. People here in the US, they work from 9 to 5 with a 1 hour lunch break.
Yeah,
People in Asia, in China, they work 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 hours, 6 days a week. In Indonesia, people work like 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., and some companies work till up to Saturday. So definitely different work culture. And how I apply that to my life here in the US, I still follow my Asian mindset. So I don't only
hmm.
work from 9 to 5. I work from the moment I wake up to the moment I sleep with some lunch, shower, and gym break. But yeah, I think that has helped me a lot with putting like twice the effort than what other people do, right? Because I get to think about how to grow my company, yeah, 2 times more than other people do. And then I don't really think about holidays and entertainment, stuff like that, because we don't really do that in Asia. So those are
Yeah.
a couple advantages that I feel like I have.
Was that really new to you when you decided to move here? It's like, oh, wow, we're taking breaks, all this
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, it was really interesting to me.
Well, yeah, I mean, just the Bay Area in general. I mean, there's so much to do here, and it can almost be a distraction sometimes. But
Yeah.
I think just like you said, the hustle, like just having that hustle mindset, especially coming from being an immigrant, you can
Hmm.
kind of you could kind of pivot if you needed to, if you needed to work a little harder.
Yeah.
So I would say your path is definitely untraditional, which is a tech startup founder.
Yeah.
Would you ever talk to your family and friends about your career, and like what do they think about it?
Um, I would say not my family friends from Indonesia because they wouldn't know what I'm doing, especially my family there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't know how to explain what I do to them. So, yeah, to be honest, I didn't try enough to explain to them either. So, mostly I just share my journey with other YC founders or any other founders in SF because they can relate to me more.
What is like your if someone asks what you do, what is like your one sentence uh, thing that you say?
I build a technology company. What is a technology company? Facebook, Google. You just mention the brand names that they're familiar with.
I think once you say that, they'll definitely know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about the concept of building in public because I
Hmm.
feel like you're super good at this, and it's one of the reasons why I
Thank you.
follow you on Twitter.
I try.
Yeah, yeah. I'm inspired by it. I'm starting to just, even if it's like this podcast itself, I'm just trying to share the journey.
Hmm.
Um, but as I mentioned earlier, my audience is kind of all over the place. I know in the tech world, like building in public is obviously a lot of people know what that is. But can you explain to my audience what building in public means?
Yeah. Building in public is sharing your journey building your company. So it can be anything about the things you learned, your successes, your failures, anything. So you just pick your social media of choice. I think most people would choose either Twitter or LinkedIn, but mostly Twitter, and treat Twitter as your journal. So try to tweet at least once a day. Tell everyone what you've been up to this day, what you learned, what you wish to do differently, what you built. Ask people for feedback. Ask people for help. yeah, just share whatever you did during the day.
How do you think your building in public has helped type share?
So, in the early days, building in public helped me validate the idea because in the early days we saw a problem where people still used Notion to build their websites. We started out
Mm,
as just a website builder, a Notion-like website builder, which is quite different from our product right now. But yeah, we saw that people were publishing their Notion documents as their website. So we asked those people on why they did that. We learned that it's because Notion's interface is just so familiar. Everybody is familiar with Google Docs and Microsoft Word versus having to learn how to use Webflow or WordPress, which is still no code, but for some people, the learning curve is still pretty high, right? So
yeah.
how Build in Public helped with that, we shared whatever we learned on Twitter. We asked those people who published their websites on Notion, asked them if they could share any other insights, how, if whether or not they would pay if we were to make this a product, and just ask them to help us build the product, like what features we need, and yeah, stuff like that. So in the early days, it helped us with validating the idea. It also helped us in iterating on the product. We would even post, would you rather pick UI 1 or UI 2? Like, for example, for the sign up screen, which sign up screen is more interesting to you? And then, since we build in public ever since the early days, we had a community that's big enough that supported us when we launched the product hunt, that we got number one product of the day, of the week, and of the month. That's
Oh,
all of
amazing.
that
I read about that.
built in public. Yeah. And then after we launched the product hunt, we got even more community from Twitter. So we got a lot of bug reports, feature requests, a lot of positive encouragement as well as feedback. And yeah, we still continue building our community on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have a incredible community on Twitter. It seems like just the algorithm just throws all kinds of type share stuff at me, and I love it. um, what inspired you to build in public? Was there someone that you saw doing it, or you just knew it was the type of strategy that worked?
I saw someone doing it. So I wasn't active on Twitter prior to TypeDream. I built another two other companies prior to TypeDream, but the company right before TypeDream, we were building an authentication product. So a plugin for no-code website builders. It's ironic, I know, like Webflow and WordPress, to
Yeah.
allow them to log into their Webflow or WordPress sites. And people started asking for Notion plugins, so we were confused. Like, why would you need to log into your Notion document? Apparently, they were
Mm,
building their websites on top of Notion. And we asked that person if they know anyone else who builds their website on top of Notion, and they introduced us to some other people, and most of those people were on Twitter. So we started following them, following the people they followed, and we came across two people who were building in public. The first one is Meet Kevon, that's his Twitter handle. He has a build in public course right now. And the second one
mm.
is KP, Karthik Pavada. He is the build in public guy if you check his Twitter bio. So yeah, I came across those two people, chatted with them. I also came to their podcasts, and that's how I learned about building in public.
The build in public flywheel.
Yeah.
Do you have a like a build in public success story? Maybe like a collaboration or a milestone, or is there anything? And speaking gig, maybe anything you want to share?
Build in public success story. Well, my story about Product Hunt was a success story, right? So
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
I started building in public ever since the idea validation stage to the product building stage until when we launched. We just asked the community who who've been giving us feedback and validating our idea to help support our product on launch. They even so not only that they upvoted our launch, they even tweeted about our launch to their community. So yeah, the word of mouth was amazing.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like it's the creator who's going to be deciding what to share, and
Yeah,
you kind of have to have
exactly.
good judgment on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Do you talk to your other co-founders about that, or are you like, hey, should I post this, or do you kind of just go for it
In the
sometimes?
early days, yes. Yeah. We're a
Okay.
venture backed company, so we have to be more careful than other indie hackers or solopreneurs. So in the early days, I would cross check with them whatever content I wanted to post, but now I already have the guideline on what's allowed and not allowed.
So I wanted to talk about social media and the role of social media in our lives. Um, Obviously, you talk about the social network and how much it's inspired you a ton.
Yeah.
We've seen social media evolve, especially in the last 10 years.
Mhm.
Um, do you happen to remember the first time you used social media?
Yes, it was 2008. I was in sixth grade and it was Facebook.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, I think I used Friendster and MySpace before that, but I don't think I was ever hooked. So the first social media that I was really hooked was Facebook. All of my classmates were there. It was the first time ever that I could connect with my classmates outside of school and know what my classmates were doing. They would post a lot of public stuff like I'm at this shopping mall, I'm at that place, I'm going to this country for my Christmas holiday. It was really fun.
Yeah, I feel like Facebook back then, especially, was kind of like what Twitter was a long time ago as well. Just kind of
Yeah.
sharing updates on your life.
Yes, yes. It was Facebook for up to 2011, I would say, and then people started moving to Twitter and then to Instagram up until today. I don't think my generation moved to TikTok. I think that's for the Gen Zs and Gen Alphas.
Yeah, are you on TikTok?
I am, but I'm not active there.
Yeah, especially because it's like there's so many channels you got to think about. If you don't
Yeah,
have a social media manager, it's like so overwhelming.
exactly.
When you build in public, you automatically become a content creator, right?
Yeah,
And
no way.
like, did you ever see yourself becoming a content creator? Like, was that an aspiration?
Yeah, I wanted to, but I'm not successful yet. I've been posting content on Instagram and TikTok, like actual video content, but I haven't found that click yet. Because whenever I tweet about something, I would know whether or not this tweet would blow up because I think I've done it so many times that I know how to craft a good hook that I know for sure that people will like and engage with my tweet, but not with Instagram and TikTok yet.
Yeah, those two are like I'm an Instagram guy, so I come from
Mhm.
like a photographer background, and
Ooh.
I was doing stuff back in I think 2016 when it was easier to do more of the kind of like hacking the communities, just finding the right hashtags to post and stuff. It's a little
Yeah,
harder now, especially with YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok kind of all being the same beast. So I
exactly.
totally feel I totally feel you on that. And so no, I hope you crack the code soon because
Yeah.
you guys are crushing it on
Right now, I
Twitter.
can only figure out Twitter and LinkedIn because they're almost the same, but I have no idea
Yeah,
how to
yeah.
post on
LinkedIn
them.
is starting to become its own little thing too, especially a
Yeah.
lot of the solopreneurs.
Mhm.
Do you see yourself being a content creator in the long run? Like, is there going to be another spokesperson for Type Dream, or is it you think you're
I
going to be doing
do.
it?
I do see myself doing it for a really long time because I actually like doing it. I like sharing about my life. I don't know if it's weird, but I like doing that. I up even for my personal life, I and my personal Instagram account, I used to upload my daily life, like the food I eat, the camera eats first. Yeah, my daily
Yep.
activities. So it just came naturally when my team wanted me to start sharing our journey building a company. It wasn't a huge learning curve because I've been doing that for the longest time.
Oh yeah, no, that's an advantage. Is there anyone else on your team that's doing the content creation stuff?
Yes, but they all did it for the company. They didn't do it for their personal life like before Type Dream.
I feel like that gives you kind of that human touch with the
Yeah,
company.
yeah.
Let's talk about Build Space because I mean, obviously we're in season 4 this time, and for those that don't know, I think I said it earlier, but Build Space is a school to help people work on their ideas they're passionate about. Um, I want to know what your experience was like with Build Space. Was it season 3 that you started?
Yes, I started season three. So I did all the entire 6 week before the IRL event. So I'm going to talk about the 6 week experience first. I would say the biggest selling point of Build Space is the fact that they get you accountable because at the end of each week, you are required to submit weekly updates. And so technically, you work on your own. They don't mentor you or coach you or anything like that. But I do believe that the accountability is a big thing because when you have a deadline, you naturally just try to be as productive as possible so you can meet that weekly updates. And then I know that they're not doing this for season four, but back in season three, they would invite at least one cool person every week. So they invited Sriram Krishnan from A16Z. They
Hmm.
invited a lot of other like cool tech entrepreneurs to one of the Thursday meetings, the 1 hour meetings.
Oh, so they would
So
actually
that
go on
was
the
really
campus?
no, so it was online, right? Hosted over
Oh, I
Twitch.
see. Got it.
But it would be a Q&A session with them, their early days. Yeah, so those talks were really inspiring, and it's just cool to see them talk about their early days, not just their success.
And was
Yeah,
was Type Dream already made by then? And like, what were you working on in season 3?
yeah. So we were building a sub product of Type Dream, specifically the link in bio product.
Oh, there you
But the
go.
website builder and other like the other features were already there. The link in bio product was our season three project.
Which I feel like has just it's been doing really well. I'm using it right now.
Yeah,
It's
thank
going
you.
live soon. um, yeah. So you're building the side hustle school season 4.
Yes.
Can you talk to me about what you're working on?
Yes. So with Type Dream, the new Type Dream, we're trying to help people build their online businesses. By online business, I mean you can sell digital products like Notion templates, resume templates, playbooks, and then you can sell your newsletter, like make a paid newsletter. You can sell your courses, anything that is an extension of yourself. So what we learned is that when you ask someone to build literally anything you want, this might be controversial, but yeah, I would like to know whether or not you agree.
Farza. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
But what we learned that when we literally allow anyone to build anything or like pursue their passion, most of the time they won't know what to build, and most of the time their passion is not monetizable. But if we
Mm.
ground them into building something that is an extension of themselves, then most of the time that is monetizable. What do I mean by an extension of yourself? So it is whatever you experience in life, whatever you're good at, and whatever people go to you to ask for help for. So let me give an example of myself. My selling points are that I'm an immigrant, so I figured out all the visa situation. I moved to the US for college, so I could teach people how to get into US colleges from Indonesia, like the steps you need to go through community college, transfer, or even take the SAT from Indonesia. I got into YC so I can help people fill out their YC application or do mock interview with them. I got number one product of the day, week, and month on Product Hunt, so I could teach people how to launch your product to Product Hunt. So yeah, what I realized, when you build something around your expertise, that is monetizable. Versus if you ask me to build something that I'm passionate about, well, let's say I'm passionate about music. I'm passionate about, what else? Playing Stardew Valley. Well, I could become a YouTuber and play Stardew Valley. I could become a musician, but I would say that's too far fetched. That's like asking someone to become an artist, versus if you ask someone to build an online business and simply pay the bills by doing what you're good at, then that's more attainable, like bigger success rate.
Yeah, I you asked for my
I know
opinion
it's
on that.
controversial.
No, no, no. I'm actually just trying to think about that right now. I think
Yeah.
I tend to agree with you. And the reason why is because if you ask someone to follow their passions and no direction,
Mhm.
like you said, like it might be the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
Whereas, like if you give them kind of direction based off of past
Mhm.
experience, at least they have a direction on where to go. And I feel like that's what you're doing. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
And I actually realized this because one of our most successful user, which is, do you know Islo? His Twitter
Yeah,
handle
yeah.
is
The Notion builder.
yeah, the Notion guy. He's so famous on Twitter, and he's actually a TypeDream user. So I got this entire idea by looking at his journey, because he also shares his journey, right? He made
Sure.
six-figure income selling Notion template. I think he has made 500K so far, and he only started back in 2020 or 2021. And the reason why he is successful is because he's building something that is an extension of himself. He's a student. He used Notion to organize his student life as well as his personal life, like his
Mm.
personal life as in finances, gym schedule, and school as in homeworks, exam projects, and stuff like that. So, and then his Notion template was really good that he decided to sell it to his friends and family, or and then he started selling it on Twitter as well. So it is an extension of himself, and that's why he is successful. Yeah, he's not building something random like trying to become an artist or trying to make an AI project when he's a student.
So what do you say? Okay, I kind of want to dig into this a little bit more. What let's say you there's somebody that maybe couldn't get into college, right?
Mhm.
Maybe they have a high school degree, but they have these big dreams. You know, they want to be one of the best skateboarders in the world, or like you said, you know, maybe they want to start an album. Like, how would
Mhm.
you how and you know maybe they find out that they need some direction and they find your side hustle school. Like, how do you approach them? What's that like?
This might change because the side hustle school is really new, but right now we have a 4-week program with one introductory week. So, week zero, we would ask them to share their LinkedIn profile so we can see their past jobs experiences in college. We would ask them to share a brief intro about themselves so we know them a bit better and could give them some ideas on what they could do. Week one, we would let them know what we have in mind for them, and as well as ask for what they want to build. And yeah, so validate the idea. Week two, we would ask them to directly build a freebie, because what we realized from digital creators like Islo, the process is that you first need to build to validate your idea, and then you would need to build a community. So
Mm.
by usually by giving a freebie. So if it's Islo, the Notion creator, then he would give a free Notion template to grow his mailing list. Third week, he would build a full blown website and try to market his idea, like just to get his idea out there. And then week four, he would finally start building a paid product, like a paid version of the Notion template. That is the steps of becoming a digital creator. So yeah, that's what we do during the 4 weeks, just following each little steps.
I would love to, because I saw something on Twitter, and I think you
Uh-huh.
were asking people for their current job and their major in
Yes.
college.
Uh-huh.
I would love to know my thing on that. Just kind of on this podcast. What do you say? I can give
Yeah.
it to you
So let me know
just
your
real quick.
background, your previous
Okay.
jobs, your
Okay.
college. I'll try.
Sure. Yeah, yeah, and I know this is live, so don't worry about giving me like a. I know you're still working on the product, but I'm just curious on your take because I know you're building
Mhm,
this out. Um, okay, so in college, I was a communication studies major.
mhm,
So I studied the art of speech. I also studied it's almost like kind of like project management type of stuff,
uh-huh.
and then also like mediation. So everything communications based. That was my major. And then current jobs, is that what you were asking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
So, oh yeah,
previous.
current. Got it. Okay. Well, it's funny because the previous jobs have no relation to what I'm doing now, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So I was a marketing assistant for a recycling
Uh-huh.
company. Did that for a few years.
Mhm.
And then after that, I started a photography business in weddings.
Mm.
And then I do that still,
Uh-huh.
but I also work for a digital agency as a creative strategist. So I help build ads all over the place. Renaissance man. What can what is this? What is this? What can I do here?
So you help people build ads. That would be related to your major, right? Because you learned the art of speaking slash storytelling.
Yep.
Mhm. Um, so I would say a potential side hustle is that build your own agency, help people, um, help people publish their ads, craft their ad blurb. Another thing is help people become a content creator or a storyteller.
Mm.
Because you mentioned that I'm good at building in public, but I would say building in public is not a skill. Rather, it's a communication skill on how I sell my story. Because whatever I experienced, if I couldn't craft it into a compelling and interesting story, then people wouldn't care, right? No matter how many achievements I made in the past.
Are you familiar with the concept of intrapreneurship? Do you know what that is?
Entrepreneurship?
Intrapreneurship.
No.
It's I mean, so it's essentially like an entrepreneurship, but
Mhm.
in the job, they basically um, you're basically an entrepreneur
Mhm.
within the workforce, and so they give
Oh,
you a lot
okay.
of autonomy.
Uh-huh.
They
Oh,
tell
that's
you that
nice. You're
you're
basically
basically
like
helping.
another co-founder, huh?
Basically, yeah.
Mm, that's nice.
And that's the type of culture I have, and that's the reason why I'm still working at the job I have because
Mhm.
they're just an amazing team.
Yeah, that's
Um,
nice. If you get to do what you want and you're not grounded, then that's amazing.
and I think that's where a lot of people want to be, and I think that's the reason why we're building, what we're building together. You have
Yes.
the high side hustle school. I'm doing this podcast because I want people to get inspired. So I
Yeah.
love this little crossover we have here. We were talking about the passion thing. You think it's possible to have too many passions, or do you think you should always be trying new things?
You should always be trying new things. I think it's okay. But for your career, I think you should try to stick with one thing for long enough because as far as I said this morning on like this morning's season 4 session, if sometimes the reason why you fail is not because your idea is bad, but it's because you don't give enough effort or you don't give enough time for the idea to get developed.
Mm.
Yeah, that's why Farza discouraged us from pivoting within this 6 weeks, right? Because he thinks that if it's just 6 weeks, then he believes that we should still try to pursue our idea. It's not long enough for you to make a conscious decision to pivot.
Yeah, and I think that's the tricky part too. Is like when do I know this is like when have I made it, or when do I know this is validated?
Mhm.
For me, luckily I have a good sense of what that is. Like for me, like six podcasts in, I'll know if I like this or not. Right? At least that's my
Yeah.
validation. And I think
Yes.
for a lot of people, they quit maybe on the first week or two. I love what Farza said. Like, do it for 6 weeks,
Yeah.
and then you decide.
Mhm.
So let's go back to Type Dream. What do you think has been the most rewarding thing about building Type Dream?
I'm the type of person who would celebrate small wins, so I really like the fact that I'm celebrating small wins are really rewarding to me because there are a lot of ups as well as downs, but if you celebrate the ups and share the downs by building in public, then I think that's what keeps you sane.
Yeah.
Because this is a very tough journey, so you definitely need other people to help you. And it is very rewarding when I can share with my community about my successes because they see my journey. They know what I did, they know what I learned. And if I could share my successes and help other people do the same, then that's very rewarding. Aside from that, so for me, it's not all about the money. Of course, money is important, but my main goal right now is to inspire other immigrants, especially Indonesians, to pursue the same path as I do because my friends and family from Indonesia, they're a third world country, right? So they don't pursue what they want to do. They just have a regular 9 to 5 job, and their work is just work. Like most of them, they don't like their work.
Mm.
Yeah, I just want to inspire people from Indonesia and other immigrants that it is possible to go to the US, build a company, and make it here. You don't have to go back to Indonesia and try to build a company there.
Is there any is there anyone that you know that's from Indonesia that's about to, maybe you've talked to them, but and they're about to, you know,
Yeah, a lot.
do their own
So
thing? Yeah.
ever since I got into YC, which was in 2020, a lot of people from Indonesia started talking to me and asked me how I could get into YC from Indonesia.
Mm.
So I started sharing my journey. Some of them even got into YC, and right now they're like in SF with me. And one of them is Arnav Batla. He's from India. He moved to Canada. He was inspired by our journey to take the leap and pursue the startup world that he decided to drop out of university in Canada, moved to
Wow.
SF, and he got into YC. He's now a YC
Oh,
founder.
amazing.
Yeah, it was. He just it was through building in public. He found me on Twitter. He DM'd me, asked. He told me that he visited. He was in SF for a month, and we met, and in and out, and that I guess that changed everything for him.
Best burgers.
The best, better than Shake Shack.
I like a good Shake Shack burger, but it's a little expensive. Can't
Yeah.
be in and out. I think your story can resonate with a lot of immigrants that want to get into tech because you actually did the thing, right? Um, and so, going back to just entrepreneurship and creators, you guys pivoted from your audience from website builders to creators.
Yes.
Why, was there a reason for that? Like, why did you decide to pivot to creators?
Yep. Um. So, two things. First one is that our power user, which is eSlow and a bunch of others, are the type of people that we want to help succeed. So we have a lot of personas that use TypeDream, right? And then a few months into building TypeDream, we decided to evaluate all of our personas and focus on one so we could build our product around them. It's not possible to satisfy everyone's need. So we just
Yep.
see who's most successful on TypeDream. Apparently, it's eSlow and people like eSlow. So we decided to pick them. Second, it's because of the churn. Um,
Mm.
so I would say the top two personas before we decided to pick the online business makers and creators. The other one was startup founders. And with startup founders, they would usually only use Typing for their early days. And once they're big enough, they would graduate from TypeDream and use Webflow or even code it themselves because for startups, they would want more customizations, more design-oriented platform, whereas TypeDream will want to stay simple and functional. And our product fits the digital creators' need because they don't need a fancy looking website, like even 3D with crazy animations. They just need something that works, that brings them money. Yeah, so those are the two reasons we decided to shift our, or like rather focus our product into serving digital creators.
Yeah, and I mean, we're in a time where the creator economy is just it's booming as well.
Yeah.
So I think well timed there. What do you think Type Dream will look like in the next few years, or what do you hope it will become?
We hope that it'll become the hub for digital creators and online business builders. Yeah, as I mentioned in the intro, online business makers and digital creators now use 4 to 5 different tools to run their business. So they would use TypeDream for their websites, Tally for their forms, Gumroad for their products, what else? Ghost for their blog, uh, and Linktree for their link in bio. We hope that with TypeDream being an all-in-one tool, they could use TypeDream, just one tool to run their online business, and not really worry about their tool because they shouldn't be. They should worry about running their business versus choosing the tool, right?
For anyone, I know you're probably going to talk about this more in your side hustle school,
Mhm.
but for anyone that wants to shift from a 9 to 5 to start their own venture, right? Like, what is the first thing you think about, and what is the first thing, like, piece of advice that you'd like to give to them? Right, they're just eager to get out of the 9 to 5.
First piece of advice: do it. What are you waiting for? Because most of them, the hardest thing is to take that leap. So I believe that if they join a timed cohort, then it's just like build space. The number one value is the accountability.
And then for immigrant millennials that want to maybe start a tech company or make it out here, is there anything that you want to give advice for them about, especially since you've done the thing?
Immigrant, yeah. I would say it is possible to build a startup here in the US. I know it sounds daunting because it's like the number one country in the world. How could you be successful, or how could you have your own business in the number one country in the world? But it's actually pretty straightforward. You have a lot of help here. People don't look at your background that much. I don't know about other countries, but in Indonesia, people really care about which family you're from. That's number one. And number two, which university you attended. If you didn't attend like the Ivy League of Indonesia or Ivy League in the US, then they wouldn't care about you. But in the US, they care about everyone. They allow everyone to apply to YC. It's not only for people with FANG jobs or only people with Ivy League degrees, right? I did have those degrees and I got in, and I was able to get VC funds from some of the best VCs here in Silicon Valley. They didn't look at my background. So it is possible to build a business here and to be included in the community. And then second thing, actually Michael Seibel from YC made me realize this. So in the early days of being in the startup world, my co-founders and I, we always thought of building a product for Indonesia. So we would think what product worked here and copy the almost the exact same product and bring it to Indonesia. In fact, we got into YC with Robinhood for Indonesia. So we wanted to
Mm.
allow Indonesians to trade US stocks because obviously Indonesians don't buy Indonesian stocks. Um, but then we pivoted into that authentication product because we couldn't get the licenses from for the fintech product. And for the authentication product, we were initially also targeting developing countries like Indonesia. And then Michael Seipel asked, okay, what is your product? Authentication, software. Okay, if you're building software, do you think you need to build a different product for the Indonesian market versus the US market? And then we were like, well, no, because a software is a software, right? It serves any market, it's not geographically locked. Then Michael Seibel said, okay, you're targeting startups. You want startups to use your plugin. How many startups are there in Indonesia? I'm just going to throw random numbers here because I don't remember the stats, but
Yeah, no
okay,
problem.
so there are 1,000 startups in Indonesia. How many of them are active? 200 of them are active. Okay, 200. And so 200 startups, do you think you can get 50% of them? Like 100 startups? We were like, well, no, that would be hard, right? Okay,
Right.
so let's use the US's number. How many startups are there in the US? Michael Seibel said, again, random number, 1 million. How many of them are active? 100,000. So that's already 1,000x, right? Okay, 1,000x earlier in Indonesia, you would need to get 50%. So in the US, you would only need to get less than 1%, like 0.5%. Do you think that's achievable? We were like, well, yeah. So yeah, don't think too much about not being able to be successful in the number one country in the world because it's not as hard as you think it might be. There are ways to do it.
Yeah, if you put the math that way, I mean it's a lot more
Yeah,
attainable than people
that's
think. I
Michael
think
Seibel's math, and we were mind
yeah.
blown.
Oh no, that's if there's a takeaway from this. I mean, that's it right there. Like
Yeah,
don't be afraid to it's not Apple here, like
yeah,
you have an idea. Just, there's a lot
yeah.
of people that might need it. So I'm going to selfishly ask for your advice because we're kind of building something here that's kind of similar. um, what do you think of the podcast idea so far?
Podcast idea. Yeah, I like it. So you mostly interview startup founders, right? Or
Startup
like,
founders, creators, anyone that's done
mhm,
like a non-traditional job.
mhm,
So like yeah, like builders like yourself. But I've also interviewed influencers, freelancers, that
yeah,
sort of thing.
I like it. I think that when people want to take the leap to pursue the untraditional route, they would need some role models that they could talk to or just follow. And with this podcast, I think it enables them to see the journey of other people who went through the same path.
This has been super fun. Thank you for your time. Where can people find you?
I'm active on almost all social media, as I mentioned. I'm trying to become a content creator. Most active on Twitter, then Instagram, then LinkedIn, last TikTok. I'm not a Gen Z, so I'm not cool enough to be on TikTok.
You're at the cusp though, don't you think?
Yeah,
Like you're kind of
just
Gen Z.
right there. But I'm not as young as those Gen Zs who could just dance in front of the camera. I'm way stiff.
It's funny that you mentioned that. I was talking to my friend Johnny,
Yeah.
and he's also a millennial creator, content
Mhm.
creator. I try not to use influencer because it's not a good connotation. But anyways, I was asking him like, how does it feel to be 27? Right? He's like, oh, it
Uh-huh.
feels amazing. I love where I'm at until I see creators that are 19 years old making more money than I am. And it's like it's crazy. Like there's a lot of creators out there that are not even 20 yet, and they're just so successful. It's wild.
Yeah,
We
it's
can that'll
amazing
be
that
another conversation. Yeah.
it's amazing that they are allowed to do that with today's technology.
Yes. Yes. I didn't think we'd be able to make TikToks like this like a few years ago and call it a career, right?
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts before we head out? Anything for the ambitious millennials out there?
Yeah. So for those who want to pursue the non-traditional path, my advice would be fail fast, fail cheap, fail forward. In the 1960s, people would build factories, and it would involve a really high capital and a really long time for you to iterate, because you won't see the whether or not you succeed or you fail within the first year or two, I would say. And then in the 1980s, the capital is not as big as building a factory. Most people would pursue the tr- professional route, like becoming a doctor or a lawyer. So the capital is not as big, but you also cannot see whether or not you succeed or you fail within a year or two, because the school itself will take you more than 6 years, I believe. So
Mm.
it's not as fast. But 2000s, 2010s, 2020s, the tech industry has taken over the world, and it's very low capital. All you need is a laptop and an internet connection. And the time for you to iterate is also really, really fast. Like Farzal believes it'll only take you 6 weeks to know whether or not you should pursue an idea, or if you should pivot and try another idea. So yeah, just try, fail as fast as you can, as cheap as you can, which should be cheap if you're in tech, and fail forward, meaning share your failures to your community by building in public, so that other people could learn from your failures. You can also learn from other people's failures, from other people who build in public, so that you don't have to repeat their mistakes and other people don't have to repeat your mistakes. So we could learn as a collective.
Fail fast, fail forward. That's
Yeah.
I love it. Well, Michelle, thanks for hopping on, and I'll probably see you in Build Space and
Yes.
probably at the IRL event, and then we'll get to
Thank you so
hang,
much for
finally get
having
to
me.
catch up.
It was fun
Yeah, of
chatting.
course. All right, take care.
You as well. Bye.
Hey, thanks for checking out the podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, we're all there. Happy living, and I will see you at the next one.